Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Am I the first one to break the silence here?
You are. You are.
That's awkward.
Sure are.
It's only
Very
awkward
cool.
if you make it awkward.
That's a classic Jacob move. I just like I went snowboarding on Sunday and I was just like no control, just flying down the mountain head first. You know, that's just like a classic Jacob thing to do. So whatever, you know.
It's a bold personality. It'll take you far.
I guess so. Alex, we meet at last.
Yeah, exactly. We meet before we meet.
Yes. Yeah.
The
I'll
first to go camera. Oh, not the first.
I don't have as cool of a background as you, but whatever. I'll just blur it like crazy.
It's all good.
Why not, right? I'm pulling up my clay table and everything. Should we show off like the like finished sequence as like what it looks like when it's all done in the sequencer as well, or just the clay table? I also have a
I'm,
Z.
I'm actually going to run mine.
Yes.
I'm going to do a very small run, just like 10 companies, 10, 15 companies.
Cool. I'm gonna use. There we go. I have a Z. I have a pretty. It's simple, but it does use it like a Z. It's not. It's not. It's like medium difficulty. I'd say it's pretty cool. It uses Zapier, a different tool. It's for Sendoso.
I'm excited to see yours. I've
There you
seen
go.
Brandon's. His is pretty awesome too.
Appreciate that, man. We all have some good stuff.
Cool.
Bringing the fire.
Oh yeah, it's game time. Um. Okay. Very good. Pull up Zapier, pull up Clay, pull up instantly, and we'll be good to go.
Hey guys,
What's
Hey,
going
Mickey.
on?
I'm here with
How
the
are you?
king.
Oh,
Hello.
Patrick.
One Zoom, huh?
Patrick the man.
One
You guys
room,
have the
one
Zoom
Zoom.
echo?
We're just gonna have one of us muted. But do you know how to pin multiple people? We're trying to figure this out.
Oh, no worries. Just 4 minutes left before you get to figure that out.
It's not, yeah.
Classic. This is a classic.
Hey, it's so fine. Whoever's talking will be shown.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Just put on the speaker only view and you'll be fine.
Okay.
Taylor, what's going on?
Yo, life is good, man.
Welcome to the party. That beard is looking phenomenal.
Thanks. I'm growing it out for my barber so he can tame it a bit.
There you go.
But I made a huge, usually I go in weeks or whatever, and I accidentally booked it for like March instead of February. And so like I see him at like the end of the month or something, so it'll be like an 8 week gap. So I was like, oh, let's just make the beard grow out and then he'll do something cool with it. So,
There you
but
go.
thank you. I appreciate it.
I haven't been to a barber in probably 10 years, so I don't know that feeling anymore.
Oh, why not? Why don't
Because
you
I'm my
go?
own personal barber. I
No,
save myself $50 every 2 days.
Dude, I'm with you on that, man. What is it with us and the bald beard look? Yeah. It's
yeah.
it's hard out here. If I was going on a date, I probably would actually go to a real barber, but since I'm not,
I
I just hack it up myself.
already have a girlfriend, so I'm covered there.
If you could find our hair length with Taylor's, we would have average hair length.
What was that?
If you combined our hair length, Alex and I's with yours, we'd have average hair length.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe, right?
And
At
Patrick.
least we have beards, that's something.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
see myself out.
No, I have this friend, he literally had some procedure done to take all of his back hair and transplant it
God.
to his head so he could
Does
have
it
hair
look like
again.
back hair though?
It's pretty curly. Yeah.
Yeah. I was
That's
gonna
enough.
say, once those follicles are in there, I feel like that's the hair you're dealing with now.
I just
Yeah.
decided that like
yeah.
the worst part about it was like I just if you don't care, then I think it's not. I mean, I would never go through all that. Such a big to do to wow.
Yeah.
I shaved my head at 21 and never looked back.
I was 19.
My
That's
man.
even earlier, yeah. Yeah, Arturo, you can communicate in this conversation. You match the time.
Absolutely.
And recently,
I need to shave, actually.
when selling a balding product, we took people's LinkedIn profiles, dropped that into Google Vertex AI to then determine yes or no, is that a bald person to sell them products? The new world we live in.
There are a lot of people showing up to this.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna give it like 2 or 3 more minutes just so everybody can join, and then we can get kicking this thing off. Yeah.
People in Slack are saying there's 100-person limit and they can't join because of it.
Ruh-roh.
This just quickly became a paid event.
This is fucked.
How many people?
I mean, we had 800 registrants and there's 100 people in here, so
There's 800 registrants?
yeah.
And you only have like a Zoom for 100.
I think Patrick is frantically buying the next next package of Zoom. No, I'm kidding. That's a pretty good product gate right there. It's working.
I actually just got a text too. Someone trying to join, can't join.
Get rid of the note takers.
That's actually maybe a good idea, right? There's a lot of note takers.
Can they see us now?
No, people joining on the 12.
I was frantically updating that. We're good.
Yeah.
All right, we're
There
in
we
the
go.
house. All the things have been fixed.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Thanks for
Okay.
your patience.
My heart rate's at 300. We're good to go. Let's get this thing rolling. All right.
Is that worse
So-
or better than the marathon, Patrick?
Yeah, I think it was higher than at any point in my marathon. More than likely.
My heart 300.
Oh, okay. That's huge. All right. Well, let's get this thing started. I am Patrick Spychowski. I do content for Clay as well as some of their events, and I am joined with pretty much the Avengers of Clay experts. This is pretty much all the best people you can refer to in Clay. They know more about this product than a lot of us, maybe even me, and I work here. So these are the type of people you want to listen to, and they have incredible knowledge of the product, and they're each going to show what we call a template. We just came out with Clay templates, and what this allows you to do is use a pre-built table, either built by you, built by some of our experts, or built by the Clay team, to complete tasks in Clay without having to do nearly as much work on your end. So you're able to complete these really complex workflows that other people built out for you. And we're going to be providing these templates at the end of the webinar completely free. So each one of our experts is going to walk through a template they built, and they're going to share the template with you guys at the end of it. So you can complete these incredible tasks without having to do any of the work in setting up the actual table. So our first person I'm going to send this to is the OG Clay expert, Eric Nowoslawski. He is pretty much the OG Clay GOAT. He's got an amazing workflow for us. He has shown it to me already, and I am wowed by it. So I'm sure you guys will be too. So I'll pass it off to him. Let's get going.
Hey everyone, and Patrick, I just need to be able to share my screen. Cool. So while we're getting the screen share up, thank you everyone for joining us today. It's always great to see the turnout that Clay gets on all these things. I'm going to try to be as quick as I possibly can because I really appreciate Patrick saying the OG Clay expert, but some of these guys have some crazy technical abilities. And so the template I'm going to show you, at first I was going to show you the craziest thing I've ever built in Clay. And then Patrick said, we're going to share these with people. And I thought, oh, that's useful to nobody except for people who run outbound agencies. So I'm not going to do that. The template I'm going to share with everybody is a template that we start off a lot of the campaigns within the agency for. And with 2 or 3 Clay credits, you can create 9 either first lines or PS lines for your outbound campaigns, so that no matter what campaign you're running, who you're targeting, you have something personalized and something AI generated to say to everybody to make your emails stand out. And so if you have not muted your microphones, you probably should, because you're killing it for everybody else. It's like the movie theater. And let's just jump into it. So this Clay table, it accepts basically any data that you have from any external data provider, or you could just get the data straight inside of Clay. So we have our first name, last name, all just this regular data that I'm sure you're familiar with, email addresses, all these things. The first thing that we start off with is verifying the emails, as everybody should, and then we enrich our emails and we try to find more with Prospeo. These are 2 providers that if you're using Clay, you definitely get your own API keys with, because do not use Clay credits on verifying emails. It's just a complete waste of money. So I don't count those in my credit cost. And so then what we did is we set up a master email column where either we found the email address from our original provider or we found it with Prospeo. And then it still gets validated. And then we have our master email column where we have very crispy, clean email addresses for us to be able to use. We then move on to enrich the company LinkedIn profile and the person LinkedIn profile, which is going to create all of the AI generations that we're going to need from here on out. This is where your credit spend on this table is going to be. There's one other place that if you want to run that play, you can, but it's only going to lead to 1 line. So you could actually run all of these for just 2 Clay credits. And then the rest is just OpenAI costs, and everything is less than a penny to run. Some of these things are less than half a penny to run as well. So the first, I guess, AI generation that comes in this Clay format is creative ideas of the company. And so probably the single campaign type that works for most of our customers is to be able to use AI to reach out to somebody and say, hey, I am reaching out to you for whatever reason. I had ideas about how you could use our solution in your job at your company or in both, whatever you want to put the inputs as. So this column here creates creative ideas about how they could use your product or your solution at their company. Right now it outputs 3 ideas, and I've marked it, not to get too much into it, I marked it as must edit for your use. So if you use this template at the end, you just got to look at this prompt and edit some things about, I want it to output, creative marketing ideas for a company. You might want it to output things about how, somebody would use your SaaS solution. So edit that for your use if you're going to use it. It outputs 3 bulleted ideas. You can make it output just 1 idea, whatever you'd want it to do. This is completely set up for you, and you just edit the prompt for your liking. Then we have 2 Claygen columns here. One is attempting to find the case study that's mentioned on the target prospects website. Another great thing to use in your outreach is to just say, hey, I noticed you work with companies like Engineering Net Zero in order to help them. And then you could just use AI to talk about what they help Engineering Net Zero do. And then the Claygen actually has the case study in here about what it was about in the steps taken and everything. So you could personalize by that as well if you wanted. So this is another great one that we use all the time that you should take advantage of too, is just grabbing case studies from websites. It's such an amazing hack of an outreach because nobody thinks that you can automate that right now. And it looks like you totally checked out their website. Love doing that one. This one finds company competitors. I like dropping company competitors sometimes, and we'll put in the subject line, like, so their competitor here is like stem cell technologies or something. Sometimes we'll put in the subject line, like getting ahead of, and then insert competitor name. One of my favorite ones to do. So now we have 1, 2, 3 lines so far, and we still have only just used 2 Clay credits. Then we have our company analogy prompt, which all this does, I love using this in follow-up emails, where all it does is it just compares what their company does and what your company does, and then combines it. So every B2B offer in the world comes down to helping people save time, save money, or make more money. So we infer what of those things do people most likely help with, and then you input into your prompt how you people help save time, save money, make more money, all those things. And then AI will bring it together as well. So you can say, just as Outdo adorns brands with captivating marketing, we equip businesses with automated outreach tools to effortlessly elevate their sales. Of course, play around with it to make it sound exactly the way that you want it to sound. But that is one that we use for our follow-up emails all the time. So we'll send email 1, and then we'll send email 2, just so that we get a follow-up email that really stands out of the box. Then another one of my favorite lines is to follow up with somebody and say, hey, I know you're busy with whatever they get busy with. So this person, I know you're busy helping brands excel creative marketing. And this part is AI generated. And then what we put here is whatever we help them do. This really works if, the thing that you help with is a really boring manual task that they don't want to be doing, like building sales lists like this. You could say, hey, I know you're busy helping brands excel in creative marketing, and enriching email addresses is probably not at the top of your to-do list. Clay can take care of that for you. Great line that you can use. You could use that in a first email, but we use it in follow-up emails as well. This is just a very simple company summary of the company mission. This one is the one that I was talking about, that you could use this. You don't have to use it. If you want to reduce your Clay costs, this is just another credit. But all this is doing is just finding another person at the company with similar titles, so that you could reach out and you could say in your breakup email, you could say, hey, John, not sure if you handle this. Let me know if I should be reaching out to Jennifer instead. We have all of that cleaned up for you here. We use AI to clean it up. We have a formula to make sure that this name doesn't match the name of the person we're reaching out to, because that would be embarrassing if you reached out to Jennifer and said, should I talk to Jennifer instead? That'd be kind of crazy. Then we'll just go through the last of these quickly. These lines just allow you to find the most recent company they worked for, so that you can say, I have to imagine you didn't leave recent company you worked for, so that you could think about super boring thing. Great line for us to be able to use as well. Costs 0 Clay credits to make that happen past what we have now. And then here we check if the person is new in their role, so that we can easily message them about joining the company most recently. This person's been working in the company since 1986. Good for them. Didn't think I'd see that. And so anyway, I know I kind of ripped through this table, but I just wanted to show everyone that it's totally possible to spend basically no Clay credits, to spend 2 Clay credits. And now we've created 9 AI lines that we can use to personalize our outbound. And I'll yield some time for everybody else.
Amazing, Eric. Thank you very, very much. Beautiful template. Feel free to post that in the chat as well once you share it so they can actually access it. Next up, we have Alex Fine, yet another amazing Clay agency owner. He also walked me through his template and is an incredible way to write an entire outbound sequence using just a few steps in Clay automatically for you. So yeah, without further ado, go ahead, Alex, and walk through yours.
All right, let me share my screen. Let me know when that pops up for you. Perfect. So following Eric, it's funny I'm following Eric because I'm heavily inspired by Eric with a lot of stuff I end up building. So you're going to see some of those same thought processes in my table as well. I'm actually going to run through exactly what this table does. But long story short, if you sell SaaS, if you represent a SaaS company, this is an industry agnostic template that'll create an entire sequence for you. So all you need to do is plug and play with a few variables. And you'll see every single column that actually needs to be played with is going to say edit me. And within there, there's going to be in parentheses instructions and an example of exactly what you should be putting in to make this work. A lot of stuff is going to get spit out. So I'm going to show you exactly how it works. And while it's running, I'll show you what ends up happening. So the way you start, you do a quick import from any company. I'm going to use LinkedIn to do this. You can do it in a few different ways. You could import from Apollo, whatever it is, however you find your data. I'm just going to do a quick LinkedIn search within Clay. So the company that I'm using, I already have everything plugged in. I'm going to use Rippling as an example because Rippling's a company that most people are familiar with. They're a really big SaaS company and they sell HR software. I know that Rippling typically sells to a lot of software companies as well. So I'm just going to include in the company type that I'm doing here, embedded software and software development products. I'm going to go anywhere from 500 to 1,000 employees, and I'm going to keep it in the United States. You can get more granular with the search depending on what you're actually trying to do and who you're trying to reach out with. I'm going to start with that. I'm also going to limit the results here to, let's go 20. And we're going to preview these companies. So what I've already done in the back end is what I'm going to show you guys right after I do this. So you can see all these companies that pop in. Looks good enough. Import them in. So while these are importing, I'll walk through what's actually happening behind the scenes. All right, so you can see right here, you're also going to have to put in edit me for your company name. So I'll go ahead and put Rippling in there. But while this is running, you'll see that I'm only looking for profiles that match the persona that I'm reaching out to. So in this case, it would be an HR executive. Think CHRO, VP of HR, director of HR, things like that. We're going to find those contacts. And if, and only if, we find a validated work email, everything else will waterfall. So I'm going to go ahead first and put in the company name here. So you'd put in whatever company you're representing or you're selling from. In my case, it's going to be Rippling. So let me put this in. My computer moves in slow motion. Let me share my screen. All right. Save that. That's going to populate down every single row. All right, boom. So now you're going to see all of these things happening. Now what's happening here is it's taking their department based on their job title, and it's normalizing that to say department rather than VP of HR at whatever company they work at. It's just going to say human resources. It's also going to normalize the name of their company. So you can see, not really a great example here, but basically if there was a weird name like Drake Software LLC, it's going to remove that LLC and just say Drake Software. Then it's going to clean their name. It's going to separate their first name from the rest of their name. And then also using Claygen, so similar to what Eric talked about, it's going to scrape, and this is another column that you'd edit, but I put in Rippling's product page for their HR software. It's going to scrape that software page for that product. It's also going to scrape against this company's LinkedIn URL, and it's going to correlate that product to what it can do for that company. And it's going to come up with bolded responses. And I actually did get inspired by Eric for this. So if it looks familiar, that's why. But so that's going to happen. And then it's also going to find job title pain points. So specific to that job title that this person has, it's going to take industry pain points that they may actually face in their role. Then it's going to convert those into a question. And then similar to what Eric did also, where this edit me column, it's going to look for another alternative contact within that company. So if that person doesn't respond, we're going to call this person out on a first name basis in email too. So as you can see, all I did was import those companies, and I have 3 emails spit out for everyone that matched the criteria. So I'll show you what those 3 emails actually end up looking like. We'll use this one, Smart Bear. All right. I'll let you guys take a second to read that. Give you guys a few more seconds there. So that would be email one. And the whole point of it is you're literally correlating exactly what your product offers to what their company does and coming up with actual solutions for them that your product can do for them. All of this is automated. Email two in the sequence, you're going to call this person out, Rami Haddad. Calling them out directly. Now, alternatively, if that person doesn't exist, so you can see here, no profile found, the alternative contact that I was looking for, there's alternative messaging that will pop in because obviously you're not going to call a blank name out. So that's what this would look like. So you got that. And then lastly, this would be the last email in the sequence. So this one, you're really just looking for a way for them to respond. It's a soft breakup. So that's what spits out from all you have to do is go into these edit me columns, plug in maybe a total of 10 words and hyperlink and import companies. And all of this will run automatically only for the things that you're actually looking for. So if that validated email shows up, the rest will waterfall. If not, it won't, which saves you Clay credits, which saves you OpenAI credits, and just makes your life cheaper and easier. That's my table. Heavily inspired by all the guys on this call. So really excited to see what the rest of them have to share.
I just want to I hope you guys know what you literally are watching. All he did was import companies from Clay, and it just wrote an entire email sequence ready to go. And he's giving you this table. So this is in my opinion, mind blowing. And I really appreciate you sharing it, Alex, because it's genuinely crazy.
I appreciate that.
When he shares this, guys, I would highly, highly recommend going in and using it. It's this is pretty much just automating your entire email sequences with a template. So anyway.
The one thing I will say, another thing you would need to do is in this first email, I intentionally did not put a CTA or an offer. That's going to be up to you, depending on what company you work at, to find a compelling CTA or offer that you can add in that first email. Also, I highly recommend testing a few different variants to make sure you find something that actually sticks. But that's it.
Thanks a ton, Alex. This is a banger. Again, please share it in the comments. We will also share it in an email after the webinar is over, so you guys can, of course, access the template there as well. And also, there's a ton of really good convo going on in the chat. If you guys want to, I would highly, highly recommend joining the Clay community Slack. There's always a lot of good conversation going on there. Mishy just put the link in the comments, actually, and it's a great way to talk about Clay, ask questions about Clay. We have our support team in there, so you can get answers to your questions quicker. And yeah, in general, highly would recommend doing so. Our next speaker is yet another Clay legend. Our Clay agencies have worked together on several occasions, so I can tell you by my own experience, this man is the real deal. He's an incredible Clay builder, and he has an incredible table to show you guys today, one that I am familiar with because he showed it to me before. And again, something you're going to want to pay a lot of attention to and use in the future. So Jacob Tuwiner, without further ado, would love you to present your table.
Thank you, Patrick, for the kind introduction. Okay, so I'm going to put timer on for 5 minutes and speed through this. I already talked fast, so hopefully I don't go too fast. But can I get some ones in the chat from anyone who's heard of Sendoso before? This is inspired by them. And if you sell B2B, okay, very nice. Oh, there's Austin. Okay, great. I have a head of marketing for Sendoso here. Hopefully I don't mess this up too much. Okay, great. So essentially, this was inspired by them. Sendoso is an awesome company if you send gifts to prospects to get their attention to book meetings. Eric talks a lot about adding value in your emails, and what better way to add value than offering a gift. So in this sequence, we're essentially using AI to infer what our prospects are interested in based on their LinkedIn profile, and then we're coming up with a clever gift idea for them and sending them a picture of it. In this case, it's actually a funny mug based on their interest. So I'm going to show you how we did it. And I'm also going to show you the actual email output so you can kind of get a taste of what this looks like. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to dive in here. So basically, boom, Sendoso, they just acquired Alice. Congrats. Great. So here's a look at the finished email of the first email, just so you can I'm going to work backwards here. Basically, we're calling out this person and we're saying, hey, I saw on LinkedIn that you have this interesting thing about you. So in this case, he's bilingual, English and Urdu. I think it's like an African language, I'm guessing. So then we came up with a funny gift idea. Thought you liked this fluent in English and Urdu, deal with it mug, right? And then I actually used Zapier and or Zapier, depending on which camp you're in, to inject this text right here along with an emoji onto a blank mug, which you can send to your prospects. There's like on Amazon.com, you can go and look up like a custom mug. It's like $5 and you can put whatever you want on it. So, and then Sendoso integrates with Amazon, so you can track if they received the mug, if they opened it, how many meetings you booked per dollar spent, etc. Fine. So then we're pitching Sendoso right here. This is generic for every single email. And then we once again use AI. Based on the observation, we came up with a punny line. Reply with Urdu narrowly talented, and the mug will arrive on your doorstep. Then for the follow-up email, this one literally stole it or swiped it from from Eric directly. So I gotta give credit where credit's due. It just made way too much sense for Sendoso. So I'm going to continue the train of being inspired by Eric. He's a legend. I actually quit my day job because of watching his LinkedIn videos. So thanks, Eric. So in this case, we're essentially scraping their location on LinkedIn and normalizing the GPT. I think, by the way, like just a quick, how much time I have left? 2 minutes. Great. A quick aside. I think in terms of using AI, instead of writing the entire email, it's very valuable to just normalize data. So instead of saying like Dallas, Texas, United States, just softening it up a little bit and making it look more human is a great way to kind of make it look like you wrote it by hand, which is ironic, but whatever. We're then calling out a restaurant near them on Yelp and their location. And then I use Claygent, which is a baller feature in Clay, to basically scrape any website and give you the results you want. To scrape this Yelp page, figure out what type of restaurant it is, and then come up with a punny line, reply Blazing Bites for the gift card. So how do we do this in Clay? So let me go to the table. So the first things first, you guys already saw to import. So basically just import some leads like this. This is all just from LinkedIn, and you can go ahead and find their emails. Okay. So these are all just totally cold leads, and we can waterfall data providers to find their email. Fantastic. Okay. So then I'm going to check Salesforce to make sure that they're not an active customer or product. This is where it gets kind of juicy. So you can see here, we have an enrich person from LinkedIn step. So when you click this button, I have it turned off to run automatically, so I don't run a bunch of rows. But essentially, this is going to pull in all this person's LinkedIn data. Okay, and this is where it gets really cool. This prompt I actually also took from Eric. He's a legend, guys. We all follow him on LinkedIn. Basically, what I'm doing here is I'm having the AI ingest this person's entire LinkedIn profile and spit out something unique about them. And I tried to prompt it well to avoid like work experience, more so go into like volunteering or interests or hobbies or sports they like, whatever. And the reason I did this first, and I didn't just jump into like an opening line, is that you want to give the AI that, like when you're creating a sentence for cold email, a consistent input, right? So this LinkedIn profile is an unstructured data set. It has, everyone has different experiences. They all have different number of jobs and whatever. Some people have more, some people have less. So when you first create this summary paragraph of what catches the eye about this person, it makes it very consistent. It's just like 4 or 5 sentences about the person. And then, oh, there goes my timer. Okay, I'll give myself 2 more minutes to go through this. Fine. So now we can take this prompt. Let's actually see what it said. What catches my eye about Cecilia Arden's LinkedIn profile is her unique project, WHM app. Okay, a mobile application for managing server functionalities. Great, that seems unique. One aspect of this person's profile is they're the coordinator for the arts and culture cause, the student council of whatever this is, right? So great, extracurricular activity, fantastic. And this one, they're volunteering, I think, volunteering for breast cancer education. Great, so these are all unique things to call out. So then what we do is we pass this into another column, and we're essentially saying, using the input, sorry, this is the observation line. I want to show this one. I want to write a personalized opening line for the email using this summary. And I gave it some rules to spit out the right output here. And so this creates the opening line. These are all things I noticed about you, starting out about them in the email. So they'll want to open it, fine. We're then coming up with a funny gift idea. You'll be given a paragraph describing something unique about a person as the input. Great. And I gave it the opening line. And I told it to come up with a funny mug idea, a mug gift idea. You guys can read the prompt here if you want. But this then creates the mug gift idea, right? Sudo make me a coffee mug. Curator of caffeine and culture. This is the person who does arts and culture. Chicken whisperer with benefits. They volunteer for a chickens nonprofit. That's interesting, but fine. Chicken whisperer with benefits. So it just kind of foster parent on duty mug. This person does a foster for animals. So you can see they're actually pretty funny and clever. And I give it like a relevant emoji as well. And then we're going to send basically this text and this emoji to a tool called Dynapix. It's really cheap and easy to use. And then you can just basically jam whatever text you want on a still image dynamically and pull it back into your table. It's a bit more advanced, but if you use Zapier, you can figure it out. And then it's going to create all these mug images here. So you can see the mug images. This first mug gift idea, by the way, I did not steal from Eric. This is my idea. Just to at least do something original here. Chicken whisperer with benefits, great. And the punny line, fantastic. Okay, and then to wrap up here, the next thing is the gift. So with this one, basically I pulled their LinkedIn location from their profile into this prompt. It's actually a long prompt. I probably could have done this better, but essentially I wanted to turn like New York City, comma New York, or Dallas, comma Texas, comma United States into like the NYC area or the Bay Area, right? To make it sound more human. And it spits out all these people are in New York City, so it just said NYC, but it would work for anything. Great. Clay has a Yelp integration right here. You can pass in their location, search for the best restaurant, and then it will spit out a bunch of businesses. I'm gonna just say this, even though Clay might not like it. You could use ClayGen for this and save a lot of money if you don't want to use Clay credits, but up to you. Fantastic. I actually use ClayGen next to then feed in the URL of the Yelp page and then summarize what type of restaurant it is. And then once again, I use this normalized sort of standard data format of a one sentence summary to create the punny response to say, respond back. These people are all in New York actually, so it looked like I found the same restaurant for all of them or a similar restaurant. But you can see like funny puns coming out for all these people. Fine. So that's about it. Then you push this into your sequence. You can embed the image in the email, and with the click of a button, you can start generating personalized gift ideas for your prospects at scale using Sendoso and book a lot of meetings. People love this. We got some really funny responses. I won't show you, but people were saying because they had to respond with funny lines, punny lines. They were saying some really goofy things in the email responses. But that's all for now. That's all she wrote. Hope you guys enjoy.
Thank you, Jacob. And this is another great template just because of how difficult it would be for you to set up just alone. Like even like a Clay expert would take a decent amount of time to type out these prompts and to put them into a table and to connect everything. So I would highly recommend using this template as well. Jacob, please send it in the chat. And of course, once again, we will send it out in an email. So our next presenter is somebody who's working closely with retention.com, and we have a webinar with next week actually. And the flow that he's about to show us is pretty incredible. It's essentially getting all of your website visitors and turning them into warm leads and sending out email campaigns to them using just a Clay table. So Taylor, yeah, feel free to take over from here, but this is a really, really sick table. It's already gotten some buzz on LinkedIn and I understand why. It's a banger. All right, yep, go ahead. Taylor, I don't think we can hear you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, no,
This new button, I'm getting used to it on the microphone. But yeah, man, it's a really cool tool. And I mean, what do we like better than new tools that we can plug into Clay, right? Because I mean, one of my favorite things about Clay is you can just mold it into 1,000 different integrations and just take your data and do what you want to do with it, right? And so so for many of you, this will probably be the first time you see our B2B give a quick overview of like what the tool does, but long story short is it identifies individuals who hit your website in real time. Their free offer is a completely free Slack or Teams integration. It looks something like this. So like these are people that hit my website like last Wednesday, just shoots live profiles into your Slack right away, right? Lets you know where they were, all of that kind of stuff, right? But if you upgrade your account, let me just move these Zoom things. If you upgrade your account, you can plug it into a bunch of other stuff. So free Slack, but you can plug it into Clay instantly, Smart Lead, custom webhooks, all of that kind of stuff. And then they have a bunch of other stuff that's coming out, right? And so the goal with my table was like, what's something unique that we can bring that is also really valuable for everybody, where it can introduce you to like some ideas to create this stuff. Because you guys are going to come up with way better ideas than I ever could. And so hopefully like this table just kind of inspires you for that, right? And so as you know, right, just copy the table to your workspace. And then what you're going to want to do is create if it isn't already here, create a webhook field, create sources, and then pull data in from a webhook. And all you got to do is take this right there, copy it. You go back to your retention account, set up the integration, paste it there, and then it's good to go and just starts shooting away. I'm going to turn it off so something odd, crazy doesn't pop up in there. But basically how this whole table will work is that the first 5 fields, all you got to do is fill in the blank with the seniority of the person that you're targeting. And you just click up here, click edit column, and just replace this text with whatever it is for you. This isn't AI, so kind of be fairly specific. The name of the industry you sell into, a description of the industry that you sell into, your company name, and your company description. Which, by the way, pro tip, if you just use Claygent on your own website and say, tell me what these people do, that's literally what I did to create this for RP2P. So it's really easy to just create a description if you want. So from there, what retention gives us is it lets us know what time they came in, their name, their title, their LinkedIn URL, their industry, the company name, location, where they came from, if it was like Google or whatever, their Twitter, their Facebook, their employee account, and then, right? And from here, the table kicks in. There's a bunch of other stuff that you guys can just mold to fit your business and who you want to target, right? And so we're enriching the LinkedIn profile of the person, got the URL from there. And so to find the company LinkedIn and then find the company LinkedIn from there, normalize the title. These filters are going to be based off of your inputs that you put in over here. So that way you just aren't emailing absolutely everybody that hits your website. But of course, if you want to do that, I guess, then you could take those filters off, right? But those are so we can kind of filter it down to who we actually want to talk to. And then finally, what we have going on is this Claygent bot is going to analyze the website of the person and just write a quick summary on who that visitor typically sells to, right? Which I think this was literally just a Claygent template that I used with some of Eric's like things at the bottom to guilt trick the heck out of the thing, you know? And then this one basically takes all of your data before all this, those first 5 columns, puts it all together and should just write a prompt that basically just writes a quick sentence that tells the visitor what your company does, right? So you could say something like, so like here, right, it says RB2B can help you identify and engage high intent leads directly, integrating seamlessly with current automation tools for more effective targeting and conversion efforts and blah, blah, blah. And then you could hook it up to your sequencer. And then pretty much within minutes of hitting your website, you can use Clay to then write a bunch of custom fields on how to make it all happen, right? And just in case you need any more data on it, when you copy this Clay table, up here, I have a link to a post that I made the other day. If you need just a little bit more of a detailed tutorial or something like that, or you need to DM me because you have questions. And then if you don't have a free RB2B account, you can sign up here, and in your free trial, you can play with the Clay integration and see if it's worth it to upgrade from there and all that kind of stuff, right? But that is it from me, and hopefully you love the gift of a brand new tool to start hitting up all your ideal customers. So thanks for having me on. Appreciate it, guys. Peace.
Beautiful. Thank you, Taylor. Yeah, this is another amazing. You're just turning pretty much all of your website visitors into a sales machine. It's an incredible tool, and
Yeah,
highly recommend checking out this and trying our B2B, because I mean, this was not possible even months ago. I mean, it's crazy. And Eric was right.
it's
He also
killer.
has the best hair in the outbound industry. So thank you for that as well. Next, we have our final table, which is Brandon, and he is going to show us something a little different, not as outbound related, but in my opinion, just as valuable, like if not more. I mean, he's allowing us to use several different API connections, to use several different types of AI processors instead of just OpenAI and Clay. I'm going to do a bad job of explaining it. I know Brandon will do a better one, so I'm going to pass it to him, but it's an awesome use case, and I highly recommend checking it out once he sends a template in. So go ahead, Brandon.
Awesome. Thank you. Everybody's bringing fire. I hope I can deliver. That's a lot to say about that. So yeah, obviously a lot of great integrations. As we all know, Clay has, I mean, it is the powerhouse of all things AI and a lot of different data points, right? So no, everybody knows that. So my approach here is I hope to give you guys more context on I know I hopefully open your minds with AI models and the different AI models that are out there. So as we all know, GPT is probably the main chef in the kitchen when it comes to clay making, right? Because that's the one that we use every single day for a lot of different workflows. But what you may or may not know, especially for those that don't have the Explorer plan or above, is there is an HTTP API, which basically gives you the keys to the world to duct tape any possibility when it comes to data exchange and things like that, right? So anything really with an API, you can plug into Clay. And so I did a lot of experimentations with that and all the popular AI models that are out there, namely the ones I'm about to discuss and some of the use cases and benefits of using them. Because to me, I mean, it's like why use anything else besides GPT? And really what it comes down to is three things. It's speed, cost, and diversity, right? We're all running businesses or we all have clients that need things done. So when you're trying to be mindful of cost, when you're trying to get things done in a good amount of time, and of course, like all things in tech, things can come crashing. And so we had one instance, I think it was a few months ago, where people were really trying to figure out what the hell to do when GPT was down. We had to figure out how to use Claude, right? So I hope to give you a template within a template, so that way you guys can have AI superpowers, right? So with that said, I just created a template. This is the one I'll share in the table. I went ahead and created also a Google document so you guys can access that. It's just my take on the different use cases of all those things when it comes to tokenization, being able to be mindful of your inputs, your outputs. That way you could save costs and eliminate the fluff, if you will, to get the best output possible. But from there, really, this template can be implemented in any workflow that you want to do. So as a start, what I recommend is first and foremost, obviously you're going to import this table into your workspace, wherever you want to do. And one that I recommend you do is for each and every one of these. So first and foremost, we have Claude 3, which hot off the press came out like yesterday. So I played with that and it's pretty awesome. There's a lot of hype over it, right? And even with AI, I mean, something that could come out tomorrow, we never know. But that doesn't mean you have to wait on, the wonderful folks at Clay to implement it, right? We can just start playing with it if they have an API. So we have Claude 3, which is awesome. Google's Gemini, which Misty and the team, I believe, is going to be implemented here anytime now. But it's here right here. And the best part is Gemini is free right now. So there's really no reason not to get on it. So you get an API key for free. And I think they're going to be rolling out the commercial API here shortly with this basically pay by use, which is pretty competitive with obviously all the rest of them. So, and then another one you may or may not have heard of is Mistral or Mistral, depending on what camp you're in, just like Jacob said. And Mistral it's a unicorn. And I say it's a unicorn because not only is it a unicorn, but it's been backed by A16Z venture firm, and then as well as Microsoft, believe it or not. They actually threw some money into this one because they're trying to diversify their investments. Not to say they have all their eggs in one basket with OpenAI, especially with the Sam Altman fallout and however that went out, obviously. But Mistral is definitely a good powerhouse to have at your disposal, and it's actually 20% cheaper. So it's fast, it's cheap. It's like, why not? You know what I mean? And then they have three different models between large, medium, and small. A lot of these AI models, they're starting to release large, medium, small kind of brain powers, if you will. And then Mixtral is a bit unique. It's
doesn't have to be tough, but if you're anything like
what was that? There's an echo going on or something. Anyway, the Mixtral, it's on there because it's Mistral's product, but it's kind of unique. It has a little bit unique data set. So I encourage you to just check out the website. That's the best source because things could change. And then there's actually one you may not have heard of, but it's called Cohere. This one is unique, and I'll show you some use cases there. This one is kind of a Claygent sidekick. It's really interesting on some of the things that it spits back at you besides just a general output. So that said, first and foremost, what I recommend you do in order to implement it for you is take this workspace in, but also go into the API here. And then what you need to do is get yourself an API key, obviously, for all of them. And then, and you'll want to do it for each and every one because it does include in the body here, the different model that it's calling for. So you'll need your API key, and then all you got to do is this is the template within the template, but save your current config, name it what it is. That way you don't have to constantly copy and paste your API keys all over the place. So that template is to be used in any table that you want to use for enrichment. So going into that, how does this actually work, right? For your actual use case? Well, I went ahead and just played around, and there's everybody knows Elon, everybody clearly knows Patrick and Eric. So shout out to Eric too, big inspiration. So I figure I'd pick on all three, and Elon's not here, so just bear with me here, right? So obviously, I did a GPT-4 Turbo prompt just to kind of see what it spits, and it's obviously no surprise, but we have context on that because we know exactly how that goes. So Claude 3, for anybody that's not familiar with API calls, 200 is a good number. That's the number you're looking for. If it's anything else, it's not good. That means there's an error of some regard. But what you need to do, just like in anything, you just go into the tokens here, and then you just start to dive into what the actual message is. And then you just bring this to the surface or add them as a column, however you want to interpret all the data here, right? So pretty standard when it comes to Claude. As far as a use case with Claude, I personally have found Claude to be a little bit better on the creative side. If you try to have it think or write something, it sometimes performs a little bit better, in my opinion, than GPT-4. So maybe, try with it to kind of see what outputs you have. Obviously, you can have GPT and then Claude, and then try to use the information, whatever works best for your workflow. Opus is the large one. Sonnet is what they deem the middle one. They have another one called Haiku, I think it is. That's the fast and cheap one. They claimed yesterday it's coming soon. I already built an HTTP API on it, but you're just calling that model and it's much cheaper. It's faster. So Gemini, obviously Google's powerhouse. It's a lot of the same. It's pretty darn consistent and good in my opinion. And again, it's free right now. So why not? But you just start digging in here and there's the text. It just basically gives you all the details that you want. That is the prompt, right? And then Mistral, same thing. You just click into the information here, and there's the message. Gives you all the context, tells you what model, obviously, tells you the tokens. That's something to be aware of, which I'll talk about in a second, but it works, right? 200. And then going down to Cohere. So Cohere is the interesting one I'm talking about. So if we click on Eric, for example, it obviously gives you a prompt, right? So it gives you the response, okay? But something to play around with is actually the more things that it gives you, because it gives you citations, and these are just areas that it goes into. So, obviously go through down in there. But if you go into the documents, it actually, Cohere exists for enterprises like Notion. And what its goal is to mitigate hallucinations or just come up with information, right? Any information that it gives you, it's going to give you a citation. So even if it's very wrong, it's going to say, this is how I'm wrong because this is the book I read, so therefore I'm right. You know what I mean? So I say all this to say with Cohere, really, really give it good context to give the direction that you want to give it. Don't just give it company name and location. Try to feed into the input like more context on, so that way you can narrow down the search. It'd be similar if you went to Google and just typed in John Smith or Jane Doe and then said, give me any information about Jane Doe. You're going to get a pretty crappy response, right? So try to narrow that down. And so this can help you obviously gain more context and maybe spark a conversation, some creative ways for you to be able to bring data in and just really leverage the crap out of it with data, right? So I'm bringing up Patrick's here because I don't know if most of you knew, but he's an athlete, and I believe you actually came up with an Amazon book. I'm not trying to embarrass you or anything, man, but you can clearly see that it goes through. This is another thing, but it goes through a lot of different URLs, and it actually just does a web search. Cohere has what you call connectors, and they're similar to GPTs where there's context, but this connector actually goes on a web search and starts pulling in all this sort of data. And that's why I believe it to be kind of like a Claygent sidekick, where it's not necessarily going out in the universe and interpolating data the way you want, but it's actually doing research for you. So that way you can, bring into the service here. So those are the models. That's the superpower here. So how does this all work? How can you implement these into your workflow? Well, on this, if you wanted to use this particular template, all you need to do is just hit import, and you can import a company because that's going to add a source, and then just populate, say the name, a website, any other fields that you want to on that one. And then as far as prompting, best practice that I found for prompting is I can even create a new one here, is just create a text box. And then when you go into add column, go into the column and then just type in your prompt from here. So give me info about, or how about, and then you just put in your variable, and there it is. And it's going to populate everything with your dynamic tokens here. Write a song about Elon, Eric, and Patrick, right? And then all you got to do is go to enrich data, HTTP API, and I'm going to browse templates. And let's use Claude 3. And I'm just going to select AI prompt, except this one is going to be my AI prompt, the new column I just created. Use template, and all I got to do is just run it. And then we'll see how long this takes. Sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow, but that's essentially what you need to do to run the prompt. And that's it from there, and expect 200s, right? So finalizing all this to say that this was just an example of a workflow where I just ingested people. I just started this, whatever, but that's exactly the workflow here, is you just simply work your flow and then add a formula, or excuse me, not a formula, but a text, type in your prompt with dynamic tokens, and then go to enrich data, select HTTP API, select your prompt, and then you're good to go. So all that to say, that is, in my opinion, the Clay's AI Avengers, where you have, this is the only platform in the universe that I know that you can literally audit and put together all the superpowers of AI besides GPT all in one table automatically. So yeah, read the Google Doc. I encourage you guys, if you have feedback, please let me know. Obviously, we're all in this together, but it's just my take on AI models. Biggest thing is input and output. The more, it's garbage in, garbage out, but if you put in good context, you're going to get the output that you want. So that's all I.
Thank you, Brandon. Much appreciated. Again, this is one you should immediately just put somewhere, like the template link, because it's going to have immediately all of these configs set up for you immediately. Like, you won't have to ever worry about doing it yourself. So I highly, highly recommend having those added. All right, so that is it for the templates we're going to display. Now we're going to go into questions. So whatever questions you guys have about any one of the templates, anything you want to ask about Clay in general, we are here to answer your questions. Ideally directed at somebody so we can have them answer the question. But yeah, we're open to hearing whatever questions you guys have about these tables and about Clay in general.
Yeah, why don't you guys drop them in chat and we'll keep asking. I have a couple that came up earlier. But to start with, Pat, can you just explain for people who are uninitiated what the hell HTTP API is and why it's important?
Yes. So all of Clay's integrations that are native to the platform are actually APIs. And an API, if you don't know, is just a way for two technologies to interact. So our LinkedIn enrichments are Clay and LinkedIn interacting via an API. However, we don't have, we only have not only, but we have maybe a couple hundred native integrations, maybe like around 100 native integrations. But there are a million other technologies out there that have APIs that you can interact with. So how do you connect those to Clay if Clay doesn't have a native integration for it already? HTTP API is the way in which you do that. Every single company that has an API has API docs, and those API docs provide instructions on how to communicate with other pieces of technology. So in order to use any other external API, you would use Clay's HTTP API integration, read the API docs from the other company, and then use that to configure it within the integration. It's very intuitive. It takes a little bit of time to get the hang of, but if you try it with one or two APIs, you'll pretty much have it down. All the instructions in the actual integration they're pretty clear. So it's like by far the most powerful integration because you can connect it to any technology. It's pretty unbelievable. So again, highly, highly recommend checking it out. It's kind of like one of the biggest hacks in Clay because you can use any API at scale now.
Okay, awesome. I also saw a good question here about how would you add contacts continuously to a Clay table and sequence kind of continuous enrichment instead of a one and done launch. So I'll let any of the experts take this, whoever wants to answer. But how do you guys make sure that these are evergreen campaigns that you can like keep getting leads enriched and going back out to?
One way is I forget the best hair on in LinkedIn. Who is it? Which expert was that? Maybe he should speak about the website visitor table. That's one way to do it. It's trigger based. Basically, to trigger Taylor. Sorry, Taylor. The hair stuck more than the name. I'm a hair guy, not a name guy. But anything that has like a trigger, like website visitors, or one that I do for clients is like job board scrape, setting up like an actor to constantly scrape Indeed, for example, to look for new jobs. And if a job is posted with text about a pain that your company solves, you can find the right people, reach out. Anything that has constant updates on like a daily basis, for example, will once you set up your table one time, will automatically prospect the account, find the right people, and reach out to them for you. That's one way. There's probably others, but
Yeah, cool. That makes sense. And then the continual all evergreen debate of what email sequencer to use. I saw that come up at least once or twice. Anyone want to take that one? Smart lead versus instantly. Go fight about it. Which
Yeah,
one
I
should
mean, I'll hop in on this one. I know most of us running Clay agencies will probably say Smart Lead, and I fully agree with that. I think it's the GOAT email sequencer. It has a great API. Its analytics could be a little better, like in the actual dashboard, but the API is so great you can create your own. Yeah, I mean, everyone that I know that runs an email agency, for the most part, uses Smart Lead. Eric put me on pretty heavy. I was using Instantly beforehand, and it's a great tool. Like, it's still a really good email sequencing tool, but I've come to the conclusion Smart Lead's pretty goated. So that's my take.
I would definitely agree with you, and I would also say that Smart Lead's warm-up feature is superior to Instantly's, and that's the primary reason I ended up switching. Actually, it's just because of that warm-up feature alone.
Yeah.
I switched for the API as well. I think Smart Lead's the move. I also found that a lot of times when I want to do something, I'm like, I wish that I could do this in Smart Lead. Then I find that I actually can. Like, they've intuited a lot of the things that I want to do. I think that Instantly is better for like beginners though, or people who don't need as much crazy functionality. If you just want to like spin up an email sequence and not get lost in the sauce, go for Instantly. Otherwise, if you're more advanced and you want to think long term and like better CRM integrations, automations, you can do really anything with Smart Lead. It's crazy. So I would go for the Smart Lead if I were you.
Sweet. Do you guys have any questions for each other? All the experts in one room. Not to put you on the spot, but if you do, feel free to jump in. And then I'm also reading through some more of these. Okay, I'll let you simmer on questions for each other, but one good one from the chat here is any tips for campaign idea testing? Should you run multiple campaigns for a client or focus on one at a time?
Eric, if you're, I'm assuming Eric's still here. If you are, I think you'd be a good candidate to answer that question. Kind of having run like millions of them.
Oh man, I'm like not even on camera anymore. Sorry, I was kind of lounging a little bit. So we used to be in the camp that I was like, look, if they're going to resonate with your offer, they're going to resonate with your offer. This is just the way that it's going to be. And then we had enough clients that really made me change my mind about that, because we would try one thing and then that wouldn't work. And then we try another thing and then that wouldn't work. And then we try another thing and then that would work. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. And so now we're actually moving towards a world that when we onboard our customers, we're testing like 15 angles in one go. And they're not really like trigger based angles. They're like, we're testing multiple offers, multiple problem statements, multiple value propositions, multiple case studies, combining them, mixing and matching them. And then we're adding in triggers on top of it as well, so that we can do like 15 things in one go instead of like this constant iteration process. So we're very much now in the camp of like, we're just testing everything that we can.
I guess I have a question with Misty for Eric is like, how do you sit down at first with a client and like make like a Google Sheet matrix of all the different, like, what are your problems that you solve for your customers? What are your offers, etc., and then go from there? Or is that too much secret sauce? Or
there might be a Clay table hitting the streets of, we do it all automatically. I get like 25 versions of copywriting in front of me, and then I like delete the ones I hate and then just send the ones that I like to the client. Yeah. So we have a Clay table that builds it all because of Claygent being able to scrape the product page,
Oh.
the case study page, and the home page. I don't even need to talk to the client. Really. I mean, they like to talk to me, and they don't know it's being done by AI unless one of you 200 are one of my clients.
Yeah, that's the template that's going to equalize the outbound world, I think.
I don't know. We'll see. It's like a lot of noise, to be completely honest, and like I don't know if anyone would find it usable other than me because it's just like exactly the way that I want copywriting to be done. But yeah.
All right, well, let's see. Let's see how many people on this call use your template, and then you'll know. Okay, I think this was great. I think we can wrap on that note. If we didn't get to your question, I dropped a link to our Slack community again. Post it there. We'll get to it ASAP. I'll just hand it back to Patrick to wrap us up. And yes, we will send the recording out to everyone and all the templates, so don't worry.
Yeah, thank you guys all for coming. All of our experts, for the most part, I'm pretty sure actually all of them on this call run Clay agencies. If you need something done within Clay, these people are the people you want to go to. Highly recommend all of them. Feel free to
Including Patrick.
Including me. You know, I didn't want to self-plug, but thank you. And if you have any questions to any of them, feel free to reach out to them on LinkedIn. Join the Clay Slack channel if you have any questions that weren't answered here. And yeah, we'll try to run some more of these soon. I have a bunch of other Clay experts that are interested in doing this. So after I vet them out to make sure they're at the same caliber as the Avengers I've assembled here, then maybe we'll run a couple other of these. But hope this was of value to you. We'll email you guys out all these templates if you weren't able to collect them. And yeah, happy prospecting. Hope you guys are still enjoying using Clay in the future. All right, see you guys.
That was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.